"You're good kids," Furley slurred, leaning against the door frame as he prepared to head downstairs. "A little weird, a little foreign, but good kids. And Lana, she loves me. I can tell. She called me a worm, which in Romania, I assume, is a term of endearment." As the door closed, Jack sank onto the sofa, covered in flour and sweat. Janet sat beside him, kicking off her shoes. "We're safe," she whispered. "For now," Jack replied, looking at the empty wine bottles. "But I think I'm going to have nightmares about that Yum Yum song for the rest of my life." Chapter 3. The Price of Love. The piece lasted exactly 48 hours. It was the anniversary of the day Jack had moved in. To Janet and Chrissy, it was a milestone of their unconventional family. To Jack, it was a reminder of how much he owed them, not just in rent, but in sanity. While cleaning, Jack found a card tucked under Chrissy's bed. He knew he shouldn't look, but the Krugers of Beverly Hills logo on the envelope was too much to resist. "To the cutest and the craziest. Happy 3rd anniversary. Love, Janet and Chrissy." His heart sank. Kruger's was where people went to buy diamonds. It was where movie stars bought engagement rings. If the girls were buying him something that expensive, he couldn't just give them a bouquet of carnations and a firm handshake. He needed money. Fast. Enter Larry Dallas. Larry was a man who lived in the gray areas of life. A used car salesman by trade, a hedonist by choice, and Jack's best friend by some quirk of fate. "Jack, my boy," Larry said, leaning against the bar at the Regal Beagle. "You're in luck. I have a side hustle, a professional escort service." Jack nearly choked on his beer. "A what?" "Escort, Jack. Not, you know, escort. Sophisticated companionship. A lady comes to town. She doesn't want to go to a party alone. She calls the agency. I have a client tonight and tomorrow. Lana Shields." Jack froze. "Lana?" "Yeah. But I can't do it. I have to fly to San Francisco for a car thing. Sub for me, Jack. It pays $100 a night. That's your anniversary gift money right there." "I can't be a paid companion, Larry." "What if the girls find out?" "They won't. Just wear a suit, look handsome, which is the hard part for you, and be charming. It's Lana. She's already crazy about you." The first night was a disaster of nerves. Jack met Lana at a high-end French restaurant. The kind where the menus don't have prices, and the waiters look at you like you're something they found on the bottom of their shoe. "Jack," Lana purred, her fingers tracing the rim of her glass. "I didn't know you were with the agency. If I'd known I could just rent you, I would have saved myself a lot of flirting." "It's strictly professional, Lana," Jack said, his collar feeling 3 sizes too small. "I'm just a sub, a replacement part." "I like replacement parts," she whispered, leaning in. "They're usually newer." "Vroom, vroom, Jack." He spent the night dodging her advances and praying nobody he knew walked in. Midway through the second course, a pressed duck that looked far too much like it was still judging him, he saw them. Janet and Chrissy, sitting 3 tables away, treating themselves to a girls' night out because they thought Jack was at a cooking seminar. Jack dived under the table. "Jack?" Lana asked, looking at the empty chair. "Did you drop a contact lens?" "I'm looking for my fork," Jack's voice muffled from beneath the white linen. "It's a very special fork. Romanian." He spent the rest of the dinner navigating the restaurant like a ninja, moving between the shadows and the dessert carts. He managed to escape, but the guilt was eating him alive. He was a call boy. He was a man for hire. When he finally got home, he found the girls waiting for him. They weren't angry. They were sympathetic. "Jack," Janet said, her voice soft. "We know. Larry told us." "He did?" Jack felt the blood drain from his face. "He told us you were having a confidence crisis," Chrissy said, hugging a pillow. "That you hadn't had a date in 2 weeks, and you felt unlovable. So you went out with that older woman to feel desired again." Jack blinked. Larry had lied to cover for him, but the lie was almost worse than the truth. "Oh, poor baby," Chrissy said, standing up and wrapping her arms around him in a way that made his heart skip several beats. "We're going to make you feel loved," Jack. We're going to smother you with affection. For the next hour, Jack was in heaven and hell. The girls pampered him, rubbed his shoulders, and told him how handsome he was. It was everything he'd ever dreamed of, built on a foundation of complete humiliation. But then, the truth came out. The anniversary card? It wasn't for him. It was for the Purcells, their neighbors, who were celebrating 3 years of marriage. I sold my soul for a neighbor's card? Jack wailed, burying his face in his hands. Actually, Janet said, smiling as she pulled a small box from her pocket, we did get you something. Inside was a simple, elegant watch. So you can be on time for your next cooking seminar, Chrissy giggled. Jack looked at them. The two women who made his life a constant, beautiful chaos. I don't deserve you guys. We know, they said in unison. Chapter 4. The Shadow of the Law. Just as the trio settled into a comfortable rhythm of domestic bliss and mild deception, a new shadow fell over Adobe Lane. Two men in identical gray suits and identical grim expressions arrived at the door. FBI, the taller one said. Special Agent Roth, this is Agent Banning. We're looking for a Jack Tripper. Janet and Chrissy froze. In their minds, Jack was guilty of many things. Bad puns, leaving his socks in the sink, and lying about his dating life. But federal crimes seemed a bit out of his league. Is he in trouble? Janet asked, her voice trembling. We just need to ask him some questions regarding his association with a Mr. Benjamin Miller, Banning said. When the agents left, the apartment turned into a war room. Ben Miller, Jack shouted when he heard the name. Bippo Miller. Who is Bippo? Chrissy asked. He was in my squad in the Navy, Jack said, pacing the room so fast he nearly tripped over the coffee table. We played poker, a lot of poker, and Bippo ended up owing me $100. He worked in the personnel office, and he offered to settle the debt by moving my discharge date up a week. I got out early, Janet. I'm AWOL. I'm a deserter. The panic was infectious. Jack saw his future, a grey cell in Leavenworth, making big rocks into little ones. He saw himself on the run, a man without a country, wearing a disguise for the rest of his life. I have to hide, Jack said, his eyes wide. They're coming back. If they catch me, I'm dead. They'll court-martial me. They'll take away my whisk. When the FBI returned that evening, they found Janet and Chrissy alone. Where is Mr. Tripper? Roth asked, his eyes narrowing. He's away, Janet said, on a long-term catering contract in Greenland. We saw a man matching his description entering the building 10 minutes ago, Banning said, stepping into the living room. From the kitchen, a woman emerged. She was wearing a floral dress that was slightly too tight across the shoulders, a blonde wig that sat precariously on her head, and heels that made her walk like a baby giraffe on ice. Hello, boys, the woman said in a high, breathy voice. I'm Jacqueline, Jack's sister, from the south. Jacqueline, Roth said, looking at the sister's 5 o'clock shadow. You have a very sturdy jawline. It runs in the family, Jack as Jacqueline chirped. Our mother was a lumberjack. The charade lasted for 20 agonizing minutes. Jack flitted about the room, offering the agents tea and trying not to let his wig fall into the sugar bowl. But when Janet's actual date for the evening, a New York executive named Walter Nessel, arrived, the chaos reached critical mass. Walter, seeing a beautiful blonde, Jack, and a room full of FBI agents, assumed he had walked into a high-stakes sting operation. I knew it, Walter shouted, putting his hands up. The taxes. I'll pay the back taxes. Just don't shoot the girl. In the confusion, Jack's wig was knocked off by a rogue elbow. Mr. Tripper, Agent Roth said, sighing as he looked at the man in the floral dress. We don't care about your discharge date. Jack froze. You don't? No, Banning said. Benjamin Bippo Miller is applying for a high-level security clearance with the government. He gave you as a character reference. We just needed to know if he was a man of good moral standing. Jack looked down at his dress, then back at the FBI. And What did you decide? Roth looked at Jack's heels. We decided that anyone who can stay friends with you is probably a very patient man. Good day, Mr. Tripper. Chapter 5. The Heart of the Matter. The agents left, and the apartment fell silent. Walter Nessel had fled, convinced that Santa Monica was a den of federal agents and cross-dressing chefs. Jack stood in the center of the room, slowly unzipping the floral dress. Janet and Chrissy watched him, a mixture of amusement and genuine affection in their eyes. You know, Jack, Chrissy said, stepping forward to help him with the zipper. You actually have very nice legs. Don't start, Jack grumbled, though a small smile played on his lips. He's right, though, Janet said, leaning against the counter. You'd do anything for us, wouldn't you? Even if it means making a fool of yourself in front of the FBI. I'd do anything to keep this, Jack said softly, gesturing to the room. To keep us. It's not a normal life, I know. A guy living with 2 girls, pretending to be someone he's not just to pay the rent. It's crazy.